Hi everybody, this is Leslie Charles. I will be talking to you today about finding, editing, and using images for instruction. So if you would like access to my entire presentation, you will have everything that I'm going to talk about today. You can either pull up the QR code with your device, or you can go to the bit.ly that's there at the bottom of the screen to access all of the slides that I have in this session today. This is part of that Future Forward Digital Learning Conference, and we want to make sure that you get the contact hours. So make sure at the end of the session we will give you a web address where you can access the exit ticket, and you can get a contact hour for the time that you spent watching this session. So here's a few just housekeeping items, nuts and bolts of things. If you are taking this for graduate credit, unfortunately, if you have not turned in your graduate paperwork, the date for that, the deadline for that has passed. But as I said earlier, you can watch each of these for contact hours. You can join our Google Classroom with that join code that's at the top. So if I were to be doing this live, I would be asking you to put in the chat box, how familiar you are with finding photographs to use with your classroom. And this is kind of a two-part question. How many of you use digital images to teach within your classroom? And whether we realize it or not, it is a huge part of what is culture these days, especially the things that our students are seeing on a daily basis. And what better way to instruct them than something that they are familiar with? We need to really think about allowing kids to use what they see every day and to further their knowledge of, how to look at the details, how to judge a photograph based on where it's coming from or who is putting that photograph out there. So obviously this is a recorded session. I don't have a live audience, but you might want to throw some of these questions out to your kids and ask them, where are they and where do they find their images that they use, with their projects or with their social media. The goals for today are pretty simple. We're going to learn where to find quality, fair use images. We're going to talk about how to edit them for specific purposes and how to use them in your classroom. And we're going to learn ways to implement them into your daily instruction. And I think maybe following this lesson or this session, you might find some new things that you can use to really grab your students' attention with photographs and using them for instructional purposes. So whether we want to believe it or not, students live digitally. Everything is a digital image is an opportunity to think critically. Whether we want to just use them as a writing prompt or a prompt to get them to talk about something that's happened in history, we need to learn ways to provide legal use and prepare students to participate responsibly if they're using images with their homework or with a project or whatever that may be. There are different approaches that students can take to add images to their written work, presentations, and products, but we need to make sure that we arm them with ways that we can teach them responsible use in choosing things wisely and looking at where they're coming from, and get them to understand that these images are often used as ways to promote a certain idea or to push a certain agenda. No matter where you're at politically, each side has a way of trying to use photographs to manipulate thought And we really just need for them to understand there usually is a purpose behind everything that is shown, whether it's a meme, a video, a blog, whatever it might be. We just need to make sure we arm kids with the information so that they can think critically about every single thing that they are doing. Photographs are unique opportunities for critical thinking, and we really just need to focus on that. So students need to be aware that someone created these images for a purpose. And often that purpose is to evoke an emotion or an action. And while media images vary from political cartoons to news photographs to infographics and beyond that, students just need to understand that they were meant for something. They were meant to further something, an idea or a thought. Photographers, artists, they all play a role in different social issues, activism roles, and you can find examples of how the artists contribute to certain movements. And we need to practice the idea of owning these ideas and looking at where things are coming from and whether we really care about what it is or not. All you have to do is think about advertising. Even TV and social media, there's always a purpose or a goal behind almost everything that is shared. We just need to arm our students with digital media literacy. It's very, very important whether we want to think about it or not. Images come from many different viewpoints, and we just need for them to be aware what these are and to study that. And it's a jumping off point for really looking at the behind the scenes information in these social media posts. So we really need to just get them to think beyond just looking at the image. Let's take a minute for something to consider that probably is something that you saw maybe before you came to work, while you're on your break, things as simple as memes. So take a look at this, for example, this meme of Abraham Lincoln, and the caption says, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet just because there's a picture with a quote next to it." And then it says Abraham Lincoln. And I think this is really interesting because when you talk with students, a lot of times you'll hear them say things like, "Well, I know it's true. I saw it on Instagram," or "I saw it on TikTok." And one of the things that I always push back on is that, how do you know that that's true? Who was the person that was telling you this, and why were they telling you this? Images on social media platforms are a huge business. There are some social media images that, things like this meme, for example. These companies, these posts have large followings. There are social media pages that are only meant for sharing things, sharing images, and sharing memes. One single post that has a large following can generate anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 per post per day. So if we think about that in terms of a week, just how much money that is. So there is a huge business in this. If the picture that they grab and they share to their friends is a bogus picture, for example, like this one, that thought that the picture or meme displays intensifies because the internet algorithm gods start doing their things, and they are bombarded. The students that shared this information are bombarded with additional information on the same subject. So basically, this is how our kids are getting news and information. And those algorithms that the internet is creating based on the things that they share starts giving them more images around that particular subject area. So, when we don't teach kids to think critically about the images, for like example, this picture, this meme, we're adding an additional layer of something that they just, assumed to be true. Assumed to be true because it had Abraham Lincoln's name attached to it, or Elon Musk's name attached to it. Just because it's written on the internet doesn't mean that it's true. So we really need to get them to think beyond what they're seeing on a daily basis. An idea that I had heard from one of the training that I went to one time was doing a simple game like Two Truths and a Lie. You could put up 3 different memes and have them look at the memes and try to decide which of the 3 memes is a truth and which ones are lies. Students are influenced by whoever or whatever is creating the image, so we really just need to arm them with the information and where to look to see where these images came from to decide whether they're valid or not. I always try to direct students on good places to find high quality images. So when you pull this presentation off, each one of these sites is linked directly to this site where you can find free high quality images that are all Creative Commons licensed. They can search for what they need, they can download the photos. Unfortunately, many of these free photo sites contain adult content, so I want to make sure that I caution you on this. So make sure that the students are supervised when you are using them, but there's no reason why they can't be used. As long as they're under adult supervision, these sites are perfectly fine for students to get on, to look for things, and to find images that are legal use. Because generally when you talk to students and you ask them where they find a photo, oh, I Googled it, I did a Google search. Yeah, but if they did that Google search and they did find something, is it able to be shared? Is it a Creative Commons licensed photo? All of those good things. We need to make sure that we touch on these things and make sure that we share with the students, what's legal and what's not legal. So I'm going to jump out to each one of these sites so that you can see, each one and how they, you can quickly find really good, high quality images. The one that I always like to go to first is this one called Unsplash, because this is one of my very favorites to use myself in my current position and when I'm working with students and teachers. It's called Unsplash, and I'm going to go out to the site so that you can see it. Unsplash has these beautiful images. You can create an account if you want, or you don't have to. The site has a search bar right at the very top. You've got different categories in which to look for things. But basically, it is a source for people to find high quality images to use and things. So you can go in here and you could find, let's say you wanted to find, let's just have Abraham Lincoln. And let's see if what it comes up with. So it has all kinds of different images that the students can use. So obviously some of them are not going to be appropriate, or not exactly inappropriate, but some of them have some different results. However, for example, here's a high quality image from the Library of Congress. So they can just download these directly from the sites. Lots of really good free use things that can be used in your presentations and or student work that they are submitting to you. So I'm going to go back and I'll go back to my presentation. Another one that I talk with students about is called Photos for Class. And I'll show you this site. It's pretty nonsense. You can use it for websites or whatever. You can just do a quick search to find photos. So just a really quick cool way to find things, and these images are able to be used with the Creative Commons license. So if we were up here and we wanted to talk about, let's put in here George Washington, we find photos. There's going to be many different pictures and pages of George Washington. So you can see lots and lots of images down here that you can go through, download, and use for whatever you might be. So that one is called Photos for Class. Let's go back. Let's go to another one that I like to use is called Good Free Photos. And again, all kinds of different categories, pictures. You can search for something specific and find those images for use in your classroom. So the other ones here I have Flickr. Foodie's Feed is basically all pictures of food. PNG Egg I use often when I'm making a presentation because they are all images that are transparent and can be used without having that background in them. So I gave you links directly to the site so that you can go out and look and maybe even bookmark those for later use. Now, we're talking about the images. We found the images. Now we want to edit the images. There are many different editing programs that that obviously you can use. My go-to is always Canva, just because it's very easy to use and it's free. And it's free to teachers and students, and there's not a lot of a learning curve. You can get on it and use it right away. So we're going to do some of that here in just a second with working with some pictures. When I jump out to the actual Canva, and I'm going to show you how to use some of these tools, there is a sidebar. Now when I'm doing a presentation, a lot of times my sidebar is a little covered up just based on the size of my screen and the resolution of the recording how I record in my presentation. Sometimes the Canva Tools sidebar is not visible. So I wanted to take a screen snapshot so that you can see what it looks like. The Elements tab is where you're going to find a lot of these images, and quite frankly, Canva just has a huge library of images that you can use for free in your presentations anyways. You wouldn't even have to go to an extra site in order to get those photographs, but if you do, there's ways that you can upload them, and there's an upload button right there. You can add text, you can use Giphies, all kinds of different things, but we're going to talk about this in just a second when we're talking about using and editing actual photographs within Canva. So I'm going to jump out for just a second because I have a blank page in my document because I wanted to show you where to find these images and how easy it is to use to put into a program or into your document, and then how you could download it. Excuse me. So I'm going to go to my Elements tab, and again, remember I told you I'm going to pull my screen over just a little bit so you can see. This is my actual program, and this is my presentation that I'm doing right now, and I just have a blank screen so that I can show you how to add and find pictures within Canva. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to go to my Elements tab, and when I go to my Elements tab, then it brings up all different categories of things that I can add to my presentation. So for example, let's pretend I was doing an assignment there where I had to get some different images of elephants, and we were talking about elephant extinction in the wild, all that good stuff. So I can just go up here into the Elements tab, and I can just search for elephant. And when I do, I can even break it down even further. I can say, okay, do I want just a picture or a piece of clip art? Do I want a photograph? Do I want a video? Even sounds are available in Canva. So let's say I wanted a photo. I can go to this Photos tab. I can hit See All, and I can see all these different photographs of elements that I could use within my presentation. So let's say I'm going to use, let me just find one. How about I use this picture here. So once I click this, I can take, and then obviously I've got my handlebars around it. I can make it bigger or smaller. I can crop it if I wanted to. The idea with this is that to make sure that your picture that you want to edit is selected, and you know that because it has a purple box around it, number one, and you also have these little, I call them handlebars, around the picture itself. As long as my picture that I added is in here selected, I can go up to the top of my Canva page, and there are some different options that I have. Obviously, I can crop it. So when I hit that crop, I can take it, I can pull it in, and maybe I can make some of that background go away. And then when I click off of it, this is where my crop area is. I click done, and my image has been cropped. As long again as my image is selected, I can go up to edit image, and I have some other options. I can add different filters to it. I can add shadows to it. I can make some different, different looks to it by putting this photogenic filters to it. So a lot of different options to do with this, but I can contrast and the brightness of my image. All of these different things I can do right within Canva. The other thing I can do is, let's say that I didn't like my elephant with its face, to this direction, and I wanted to flip it the other direction. I can go up here to the option of flip, and I can flip that horizontal, and it will change my image to the reverse of that. So lots of different things that you can do within Canva to edit your pictures, okay? So I could add, again, an actual video, or I can go back here and I can go to all, and I say, okay, well, maybe I want a video. Same thing, here's my video of my elephant, and maybe I can add that as well. Now with Canva, when you're creating on Canva, if you're using it as a presentation, you could download that later, or you can print this out by downloading it and then printing it right from here. So when I am in present mode, this video will play of this elephant swimming in the water. Now, as I'm sitting here, it's not going to move because I'm not in the presenting mode. However, you can see how easy it is to add different elements to your document. So that is adding images. Now, within Canva, I'm going to go back over here because within Canva, you can also edit images really clearly and quickly. Now, I showed you about flipping the image from left to right. You can look for specific images in the keyword on the search bar, and you can add images by uploading, and that's what we're going to look at next. I've given you the step-by-step directions, but I'm also going to show you how to upload your own images into Canva directly. So we'll go again to a blank page within my presentation so I can show you this idea of uploading. So in order to put one of your own pictures into Canva so that you can edit it here, maybe you chose one of those pictures from Unsplash, you saved it on your computer somewhere, and now you want to pull it into something that you can edit it for whatever reason. So if I go to the Uploads tab and I select that, I can upload a picture directly into Canva that I can use for later. So if I wanted to do that, I'm going to go to this Upload Files button. I'm going to find a picture on my computer. So let me see. Let me find an image. Let's say I want to use this image here, and I'm going to click Open. You're going to see it think over here for a second, and then the image that you selected is now part of your library. You can then use it. You can drag and drop it onto your presentation, or you can just click it and make it part of your presentation as well. So here's this picture. Again, I have all the different options to edit it. I can crop it. So like I want to make this smaller, closer to the puppy. I can flip it. I can animate it, lots of different things. Again, remember, you just have to make sure it's selected. Another really cool option that I'll show you later is removing the background. So I could take this image, and let's say I didn't want this around the background. If I go to edit image, I have the option to remove the background as well, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. So all of these different options that you can do, but you just find your pictures, you upload them, and once you upload them, they become part of your library so that the next time you want to use it, maybe you want to use the same picture for a different project that you're working on, it will always be there. You might just have to scroll down until you find it. The next option I want to show you is something really cool, and it is called Text to Image app, and it's a new app that Canva is using, which uses AI technology in order to create an actual image based on some descriptions that you give it. So it's another way to generate some different images, even if you can't find them within one of those pages that you use. So you're really basically turning imagination into reality by taking some text that you add to Canva in order to create this image. With text to image, design ideas are really free-flowing, and if you've got the text, you will eventually get to the image, and you can recreate this as many times as you want. So instead of trying to find that purple dinosaur that you want to use with your project or with your presentation, you can just create it yourself. And it's text to image. Now, I will tell you that within Canva, when you start using a particular app, it will start populating and becoming higher and higher up on your toolbar. If you look on my particular toolbar, my text to image, which is this purple square, has actually, I've been using it enough that it's beginning to move up on my order of preferences. And as you begin to use it, it will begin to move up as well. The first time you want to use this or locate it, what you're going to have to do is go to your sidebar, go clear to the very bottom where there is a waffle that says apps. And when you click on that, it will show you all the different apps that you can add to your Canva account so that you're not going out to your Google Drive, so you're not going out to your Google Photos. It will be right within your Canva presentation. So once I have chosen this text to image app, after I've used it several times, it will start to, Canva will start to think, she uses this a lot. I'm going to start moving it up further and further and further. But the text to image app is located the first time, again, in this bottom apps. You find it, you hit it, you click the image, text to image, and then you can begin to create images in your mind with this AI technology that's built into Canva. Now, this text to image app is pretty cool in the fact that whether you want to see it black and white, maybe you want to find an illustration of someone that's baking a cake or a fox standing up in a forest, anything that you put in this text box can bring your imagination into life, and then you can use that across multiple different programs or documents. So you really have to know that you don't have to spend days and days and hours scrolling through images on any of those sites that I gave you previously. When you need something specific or something unique, You can put in the descriptors in the text box over here and create something really quickly. The other thing to think about with this is if you are maybe an artist or a designer and you're playing around with an idea, maybe for a marketing, some sort of a marketing project that you're working on, you can play around with this with colors and ideas and different shapes by putting it in your text box, and you're not going to spend a lot of times actually creating these images when you can kind of see what it looks like to see if it's even worth going down that road, or using or expanding that in any way. So how this works is this, and I'm going to go back to this particular page so that I can show you how this works. So I clicked on text to image, and then you're going to get a text box here that says describe the image that you want to see. And it gives you kind of a prompt here. It says include objects, colors, locations, surroundings, people, etc. And then down below it, the first couple times you use it, actually every time that I use it, it comes up with different inspiration things. But it's just to get you to think about the power of this technology, this AI technology. So you can do something, and it's giving you some different options here to try. We're going to try one of these in just a second. You can even choose the style of the art that you want to create. So maybe you want something that's three-dimensional, or maybe something that's just a painting. You can choose, a different style. You can choose a site, all that good stuff. Now, I like to use this one because this is one that I think is pretty cool, but we'll see. And every time I do this, I create something new, so it's always fun to see the different things. So for example, I did this the other day and I said, okay, I want a red-headed little girl with green eyes and pigtails, waving a flag. So let's see, whoops, I better spell flag correct. Let's see with that little description, let's see what this AI comes up with, and with the description that I gave. Red-headed little girl with green eyes and pigtails waving a flag. And I go down here to generate image. Let's see what it comes up with. You can see it kind of doing its magic. And then we'll see what it comes up with. So it's going to give me 4 different options right here. If I don't like any of those, I can hit generate more. So let's look at this. Look how accurate this is. Now that looks a little more blue to me than green, but it's pretty accurate. Redhead, pigtails, waving a flag. Let's see. This one, I can't really tell if she has pigtails, kind of that green bluish eyes. But let's say I didn't like any of those. I can say, okay, generate a few more. And it starts to think, okay, she didn't like that. Let's use that and let's work a little bit harder and see if we can come up with something else. So look at that. So how creative and how unique you want to get, you can add the text in there, and once you use it, it becomes part of your library. So if you have a student that's creating a story about maybe a character and they have the character in their mind but they don't have pictures of it, they can create these text images by putting in some text and creating their own. Let's just do another one just to show you the power of this. And I've had people ask, is it going out and looking on the internet for these? No, it's actually creating this, and that's AI technology. Let me put in here, let's say, a rainbow cow that is riding a skateboard. I don't know what it will come up with, but let's see. So I put that information in as my descriptors for the text to image app. I go down here to generate the image, It's going to think about it for just a second, and then it will give you some, hopefully, pictures with your text in there. And that displays the text that you added. So you can see different options. Rainbow cow on a skateboard. Okay, so lots of pretty cool things with this text to image app. If you don't like that, you can tell again to generate a few more, and it will go ahead and work really hard at transforming those ideas that I put there into an actual picture or a photograph. So pretty cool stuff. You can do a lot of cool things with that. And that is the text to image app, and that is located within the first time. The app's clear at the bottom, and then once you start using again, Canva will continue to think, how much do I use it? And it will try to make things easier for you. Canva also has in their image editor, really good ways of enhancing your photographs. So you can upload your image like I showed you of that puppy from before. You can enhance your photo by clicking on edit image. You can change the brightness, the contrast, the saturation of any picture, photograph. You can use filters and photo effects, and you can add final touches, anything from text to borders, all that good stuff. You can download and then share your images. Now, I talked a little bit before about removing backgrounds. So the previous slide where I had the different sites where you could find transparent images, that PNG egg, when you upload it, it will automatically be a transparent image. But what if you have an image that you want to use that isn't transparent? Well, Canva has a built-in background remover. Now, there are other programs outside of Canva that you could use, that you could take the background out and then upload that image, lots of that stuff. But if you want to just use your own pictures and you want to take the background out, super easy in Canva, just by using their editing option. So let me jump out again and let me show you how to use this. So I'm going to go back to my Elements tab, and I'm going to find, excuse me, a picture, let's say of this elephant. We'll use the same picture from before. And let's say that I do not want this background in my photograph. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to, do a pretty darn good job for a free program. So what I want to do is I want to take this background out. Now, if you've ever used a program where you have to take a background out, generally it's pretty tough if you're using, let's say, a brush tool, where you're trying to get around that outside edge and take all of this out and erase it. I've seen those kinds of programs. Or sometimes when you have a photograph with this many different elements in the background, it's hard to get a really good removal of that. But Canva, I think, does a pretty good job. So let me show you how easy. I just took one of their stock photos of this elephant. I added it here. I'm going to edit this image, so I need to make sure it's active. So if I click on it, I get my handlebars around it. And also, because you have a purple line around your image, go up here to edit image. And then at the top, you get this option that says background remover. So I'm going to make sure that my my image is highlighted or selected. I'm going to go to where it says background remover. I'm going to click that. Canva's going to think for a minute, and it's going to try to take that background out of that selected image. Now, sometimes it takes a little longer than others. It just depends on the background, on the image quality, but you can see it did a really good job. Now, it looked in between the legs even, so it did a pretty good job. Let's say you didn't like that, you wanted to restore it, you could just by clicking the restore button, but now you notice that you can use this image and there's no background in it. If I wanted to go back to the original, if I select it, there will be given an option that says restore original. If I click that, it goes right back to the original. So pretty cool stuff that you can do just by removing the background. So I gave you again my step-by-step directions in the program, so that if you want later to play around with this and use this, I gave you step-by-step directions on how to do that. So removing video backgrounds, very similar to what we just did. This is in beta. I will tell you that they are constantly working on these things, and that's a great thing for us. But removing video backgrounds is relatively new, and it's the same idea as with the actual photographs themselves. So why in the world would you want to do that? Well, there are many different reasons why you would want to do that. If you want to remove the background in the video, you might want to create a green screen type effect. Or maybe you want to do different images of your students and you want to remove that background. All of that stuff can be done in Canva. So again, let's go back to this same picture. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to actually get rid of this. And let me go to my Elements tab and let me find a video. So I'm going to go here to See All. I'm going to find a video and let's see if we can remove the background of that. So how about, let's see, let me find it. And like I said, it doesn't always work great, but we can try it. So let's do this one. So this happens to be a video that I took of a water bottle that I had created for one of my friend's daughters. So as you can see, my video, it's turning there, but I have in the background of where I took my video. And you can see there's like a plant there, there's a picture there, all kinds of stuff. So my video obviously is showing different sides of this water bottle. Let's say I want to take that out so that I can add it to a document or add it to a flyer. I make sure that it is selected. Again, I go up here to edit video and I use the background remover. So if I click on that, I hit background remover, it's trying to think and take out all of that background within my picture and take it out permanently. Now you can see on this one, it didn't do a great job. You can kind of still see it around there, but removing this is pretty good for just a regular old video here. Let's try a different video. Let's go to the Elements tab. Let me go to a video and let's see if I can remove a background on one of these stock ones. So let me see if this will work. Now, I don't know, I've never tried to use this, but we can see what happens here. So this is that little video of this elephant walking through the water. I don't know what it's gonna do, but let's see. So I'm gonna select it, I'm gonna hit edit video. Again, I'm gonna go to this background remover. It's gonna think about it and then try to remove that background. Then when I play it, you can just see the actual elephant walking through the water. So not perfect, again, it's in beta, but pretty cool option there. So you think about it in terms of creating instructional materials. You could video record yourself, then take the background out and add your image video of you talking in front of the information that you're giving and kind of give that cool green screen effect to use with your instructional materials. And that takes us to classroom ideas. And I think that's one of the most important things when we're talking about, editing these. All that stuff is great, but what are some ideas that we can actually use these photographs with our classes for instruction? So let's take a look at some of these ideas that I had, combined for you guys. Obviously not a complete list because I'm sure there's many creative people out there, lots of creative ideas for using photographs or pictures in your classrooms, but these are just some that I come up with. So visual biography, so students can create these visual biographies that represent their lives. They can find some powerful images of an important individual in history through different educational websites, and put them into a slideshow that highlights their lives, their past, present, and future. So all kinds of good ideas for visual biographies. Photo essays is another idea. Students can work in teams or independently and compile the digital images that are relevant to a certain topic. And they can add captions to the photos, explaining what's going on in the photos. All kinds of good information that can be delivered by the student by taking a photograph and using it as a jumping off point for an essay. The next idea I had was visual storytelling. Teachers can find a photograph online, they can display it in their class and invite the students to create a narrative to that image. Ask them to identify details of the image, or where is the setting or the characters or what is happening in the image. Have the students figure out what emotion the character is embodying in the picture. So all kinds of different things that you can do with this visual storytelling. I also love using pictures as writing prompts. You can choose a picture and display it in your classroom and have the students create an essay based on an emotion that they feel from looking at the picture. Some other ways I tried to brainstorm and list here are things like comic strips, which really boost student creativity. Comic strips can, promote that higher order thinking. So, for example, my daughter's class was talking about the Roman Empire, and one of the activities that the teacher had them do was to create a comic strip with the viewpoint of a different Roman character in history. So they had to create a comic strip based on the point of view from whatever person that they chose from the Roman Empire. They can also write caption for memes, and students are bombarded with memes. We see them every day. They can write memes for characters or short stories or a play. There's a actual I've given you a website within my my online presentation that takes you out to a meme maker online, where the students can find a picture and then create the text for the meme. So lots of good stuff with that. You can also use images to create stories, and I have a couple of examples, but you can see there this little girl walking down, or a young lady walking down the street, an empty street or road, with a suitcase and some balloons. Show that to your students. Have them create a story based on this image. What happened previous to this scene, or what's going to happen after this scene. All kinds of different options for that. You can also, select a group of pictures and ask the students to generate as many adjectives as they can think of based on a selection of images that they see. All kinds of cool ideas to really create that creative thinking that students should be doing and using every single day. So the next few slides that I have are just some examples of all of these different things. You can see some visual biography examples. You have Andy Warhol there and Albert Einstein. They can find images and then they can add some text so that they can generate ideas. They're using their writing skills and also their design skills or technology skills at creating these. Here are just a couple quick images that I found for visual storytelling. Give these students this picture and tell them to write the story behind the image. Lots of really cool images out there that really can get kids thinking and thinking creatively with their writing. Writing prompts. Certain images really promote or a certain feeling or a certain emotion. Use this as a jumping off point for your students' writing. Get them to think hard and dig deep, and tell us what's happening or what had happened previous to seeing this. All kinds of writing prompts and pictures can be used for these things. Here's some different examples for photo essays. You can see a picture from the Holocaust and a picture from the Civil War. If you're talking about either of these subjects in history, show them a picture, have them do the research behind what is going on to tell what is happening in the picture. It's a great way to kind of combine the idea of research and writing. Here is just an example of something, like I said, a collection of pictures where you ask the students to build their vocabulary with adding adjectives to either in this picture. Write as many adjectives you can think of to describe the animals in this picture. Things from size, shape, color, feeling. All pretty good ideas to get them to think about how these items are similar or how the items are different. Again, when you get my presentation, I have some different websites for prompts, visual storytelling, and then that meme template where you have a bunch of blank meme pictures and the students can get in there and write their own captions for the meme pictures. So lots of good things, lots of good websites to use with students. Now, obviously these aren't the only things, only ways to use them. You may have additional thoughts. If you can think of some and you would like to email me with your thoughts, that is awesome as well. But if you have some really creative ideas, please make sure that you share them with other educators at your location or on your social media posts so that you can really inspire someone else to use digital images within their classroom to inspire creativity and critical thinking. That is the last part of my presentation for today. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address is listed at the bottom. You can also call Muskingum Valley ESC, but email is usually best because if I'm not available at that time, I can quickly log on and check my email from my phone and hopefully get an answer back to you very quickly. If you are taking this for contact hours or for graduate credit, you can go to the bit.ly that's listed at the top or that QR code to generate the exit ticket survey, answer the questions, and once everything is submitted, you will receive your contact hours certificate by mail. If you not mail, by email, it will be generated and sent to you through your email that you have listed. If you are doing this for graduate credit, we do have a way to see what sessions you have attended. You have to attend at least 13 total sessions. Does not matter in what order. You just can make sure that you select 13 of them to watch and answer the questions and provide information within the exit ticket and write your 2-page reflection before the deadline. And that is it. If you have any additional information, questions, concerns, or anything else to add on this topic, feel free to email me and I'll be happy to include it with additional trainings that I do with teachers and educators all over Ohio. And that is it for today. Thanks for coming.